Have you ever imagined what it would feel like to see a creature the size of a school bus casually ambling down your street, chomping on trees as if they were nothing more than crunchy snacks? Well, get ready, because we're about to set off on an extraordinary adventure through time to uncover the most awe-inspiring giants that ever roamed the earth and reveal how their ancient tale is deeply connected to our own. Picture this. You're standing in what will one day become New York City, but instead of skyscrapers, you're surrounded by massive ferns and the ground literally shakes beneath your feet. That thunderous rumbling isn't construction work, it's a 70-foot-long Argentinosaurus taking a leisurely stroll to the local watering hole. This isn't science fiction. This was reality for over 160 million years on Earth. But here's the mind-blowing part that most people don't realize. Dinosaurs weren't just random giant lizards that happened to exist. They were the culmination of one of the most incredible evolutionary success stories in the history of life itself, and their rise and fall fundamentally shaped the world we live in today. The story begins way before the first dinosaur ever hatched. We need to travel back roughly 540 million years to understand how life was preparing for these magnificent beasts. During this period, called the Cambrian explosion, life was going absolutely crazy with experimentation. Creatures were developing eyes, shells, and complex body structures for the first time. It was like nature's ultimate laboratory, testing out every possible design. Fast forward to about 375 million years ago, and we encounter one of the most crucial moments in evolutionary history. This is when the first vertebrates decided to leave the safety of the oceans and venture onto land. These early pioneers, essentially fish with legs, were taking the ultimate leap of faith. They had to figure out how to breathe air, support their body weight against gravity, and find food in a completely alien environment. The transition wasn't smooth. These early land animals faced massive challenges. Imagine trying to breathe through primitive lungs while your skin was still adapted for underwater life. Many species didn't make it, but those that survived began an evolutionary arms race that would eventually lead to the age of dinosaurs. Around 320 million years ago, something remarkable happened. The first reptiles emerged, and with them came a game-changing innovation, the amniotic egg. This might sound boring, but this was revolutionary technology. Unlike amphibians who had to lay their eggs in water, reptiles could reproduce anywhere on land. They were no longer tied to lakes and rivers for survival, but the real magic was still to come. About 250 million years ago, Earth experienced the most devastating mass extinction in its history. The Permian-Triassic extinction event, also known as the Great Dying, wiped out roughly 96% of all marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates. It was apocalyptic. Yet from this catastrophe emerged opportunity. The surviving reptiles found themselves in a world with vacant ecological niches everywhere. It was like a massive reset button had been pressed, and evolution was ready to experiment with some truly extraordinary designs. Enter the archosaurs, the group that would eventually give rise to dinosaurs. These weren't your typical lizards. They were developing longer legs, positioned directly underneath their bodies, rather than sprawling out to the sides. This might seem like a small change, but it was revolutionary. This new body design allowed them to move more efficiently, run faster, and use less energy. The first true dinosaurs appeared around 230 million years ago during the Triassic period. These early dinosaurs were relatively small, about the size of a large dog, but they possessed something special, an incredibly efficient respiratory system. Unlike mammals, who breathe in and out through the same passages, dinosaurs developed a one-way airflow system similar to modern birds. This meant they could extract more oxygen from each breath, giving them a significant advantage over their competitors. As we move into the Jurassic period, roughly 200 million years ago, dinosaurs began their incredible diversification. The climate was warm and humid, creating perfect conditions for lush vegetation. This abundance of plant life supported an explosion of herbivorous dinosaurs, which in turn supported massive predators. This is when we see the emergence of the giants that capture our imagination today. Diplodocus stretched over 80 feet long, using their incredible necks to reach vegetation other animals couldn't access. Brachiosaurus stood as tall as a 4-story building, creating a completely new ecological niche by feeding on treetops. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of dinosaur evolution was their incredible diversity. They weren't just big and scary. Some dinosaurs were no larger than chickens, others were covered in colorful feathers, and many displayed complex social behaviors. Recent discoveries have revealed that many dinosaurs lived in herds, cared for their young, and even engaged in elaborate mating displays. The Cretaceous period, beginning around 145 million years ago, marked the golden age of dinosaur evolution. This is when we see the emergence of iconic species like Tyrannosaurus rex, Triceratops, and Velociraptor. The variety was staggering. Armored tanks like Ankylosaurus, swift hunters like Utahraptor, and gentle giants like Parasaurolophus with their distinctive musical crests. What many people don't realize is that dinosaurs were incredibly successful precisely because they were so adaptable. They conquered every available habitat: forests, deserts, swamps, and even polar regions. Some species migrated thousands of miles seasonally, while others developed specialized diets ranging from fish to insects to other dinosaurs. The relationship between dinosaurs and their environment was complex and dynamic. They weren't just passive inhabitants of prehistoric Earth. They were active shapers of their ecosystems. Large herbivores created pathways through dense vegetation, their waste fertilized the soil, and their feeding habits influenced plant evolution. During this time, something extraordinary was happening that would have profound implications for the future: the evolution of flowering plants. This co-evolution between dinosaurs and plants created increasingly complex ecosystems. Dinosaurs helped spread seeds, while plants provided new food sources and habitats. But even as dinosaurs reached their evolutionary peak, the conditions that would lead to their demise were already in motion. Volcanic activity was increasing, sea levels were changing, and the climate was gradually cooling. These environmental pressures were already causing some dinosaur species to struggle. Then, 66 million years ago, disaster struck. A massive asteroid, roughly 6 miles in diameter, slammed into Earth near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact released energy equivalent to billions of nuclear bombs, instantly vaporizing everything within hundreds of miles. The immediate effects were catastrophic, but the long-term consequences were even more devastating. The impact threw so much debris into the atmosphere that it blocked out the sun for months, possibly years. Without sunlight, plants died, and the entire food chain collapsed. However, the extinction wasn't instantaneous or complete. Some dinosaurs survived the initial impact and its immediate aftermath, but they couldn't adapt quickly enough to the rapidly changing environment. The age of giant dinosaurs was over. But here's the incredible twist in our story. Dinosaurs didn't actually go extinct. Today, we share our planet with over 10,000 species of dinosaurs. We call them birds. The small feathered dinosaurs that survived the extinction event continued evolving, eventually giving rise to the incredible diversity of bird species we see today. The legacy of dinosaurs extends far beyond their modern descendants. Their extinction created opportunities for mammals to diversify and eventually led to the evolution of our own species. The same evolutionary pressures that created dinosaurs continue to shape life on Earth today. Understanding dinosaur evolution teaches us profound lessons about adaptation, survival, and the interconnectedness of life. These magnificent creatures remind us that no species, no matter how successful, is guaranteed survival. But they also show us the incredible resilience of life and its ability to recover from even the most catastrophic events. The story of dinosaurs is ultimately the story of life itself, constantly changing, adapting, and finding new ways to thrive. And in many ways, their legacy lives on, not just in museums and movies, but in the fundamental principles of evolution that continue to shape our world today.